All right. Hello and welcome everyone to the HARROW 2022 builds refresh. Today we're going to talk about two builds for HARROW. One we've talked about previously whenever HARROW Prime came out, which is just the farming build for him. You can use in any regular level content or sorties or what have you. And then the other build, which is a bit more specific to being utilized for Steel Path, because that content, the farming build, doesn't really scale to, unfortunately. So with that, let's get started. We're going to talk about the farming build first and foremost, as that is, usually what I would highly suggest you use. This uses Thermal Sunder as a DPS ability, using mainly the heat side of it, in order to kill vast amounts of enemies in a pretty large AoE using 265% range. Now, with that, we're using Thurible to regenerate energy off every single enemy we kill. With this, HARROW doesn't normally have access to a DPS ability, so being able to DPS in a large AoE around him means that you're going to get a hilarious refund of energy, and getting Thurible to like 5 or 10 is going to give you a free refund on your Thermal Sunder pretty much every single time you press it. And this scales surprisingly well. We're going to use this against the level 185 test that we usually do, and except for the heavies, it functions very, very well. So let's show that real quick. And this is, usually just for spamming. If you're going to do ESO with this build, I would suggest subsuming over your 1 slot instead, just because that is going to be turned off by Samaris if you don't. Wrong button. This is going to be turned off by Samaris if you don't, just because, of course, you are just clapping your hands together and spamming this as much as you possibly can while jumping around. So obviously Samaris, not a big fan of that. But you can see all except for these like super heavily armored enemies. I mean, the bombards still just die, but except for like these two heavy gunners, every enemy just gets burned alive, and it's very, very simple. And of course, bringing something around like a glaive or whatever is going to get rid of those enemies very easily. But normally, the usual non-Steel Path content does not get as tanky as like level 185 heavy gunners. Normally, you're sticking to that level like 100 to 120 range, kind of maxing out. And in those ranges, this is going to just burn them all down very easily and not be a problem. So yeah, pretty easy stuff there. You, of course, still have good stats for using Condemn and, stunning everyone, as you saw. And you can use your 4, but it's pretty much never worth it or necessary, especially in that content where you probably should be bringing this build. Now then, for the other kind of content, which is basically Steel Path, we are going to be using our 4 a lot. This is a Lasting Covenant build. And also, note, both of these builds are zero forma builds. They're very, very easy to build into, with the exception of course, you're not going to be able to have Prime Sure-Footed until day 400. Now, this second build does not use a subsume, and you could very easily subsume Titania's ability or Nej's ability to get that status immunity, so that you really don't have to worry about those knockdowns and stuff, which I find are going to be the #1 thing that's going to kill HARROW most often. Because when you get those knockdowns, that's when you're not able to spam Condemn and lock down enemies and gain a ton of shields and get all of your protection back. But, subsume over Penance if you don't feel like you need this, even though the fire rate and reload speed buffs are nice. Or if you're comfortable with your energy economy, you could subsume over Thurible, and that's not a big deal either, as usually you are hilariously under budget on the amount of energy you could be using with this frame. With that, we are using Lasting Covenant. So basically, headshot kills are going to increase our crit chance bonus duration by 3 seconds, so that we can just stay in Covenant for longer. This is just a to-taste thing. I personally like being in the more damaged state of Lasting Covenant, more like better than just having the ability to have that 10-second invincibility, because I find that I don't use that as a panic button, and I tend to just press Condemn if I feel like I'm in danger of dying, as that's going to get me the shields from Augur Reach, which are going to protect me momentarily until the shields from Condemn kick in. So, in general, having 3,000 shields and adaptation built up is going to make you pretty impossible to deal with, especially whenever you combine that with Aegis. And if you are using a pistol as your DPS pistolier, super fun with HARROW, especially if you're going to be going for any of like the Sepulchrum or any weapons that you really don't want to have to reload. Although, of course, with your 2, it's going to reload pretty fast anyway. But infinite pistol ammo is always a good time. And the Knell, of course, does have Pistolier by default, so you could just be using that, and then you have a free Arcane slot for whatever you want, which is probably more fire rate for your pistol at that point. But yeah, this is what I use in the run through Steel Path. And a thing to note about that run through Steel Path that I do is I made a few mistakes None of the mistakes involved dying, but I forgot to bring a companion, and also like I was just not picking my weapons back up whenever the enemies that steal your weapon from you put them on the ground. So it's kind of like a sloppy run or whatever, but like it's not a big deal. You're Harrow, just hit one, and I kept it in as that, even though it was kind of sloppy. So enjoy that. It's just, you know, Harrow doesn't really have a problem with it. Harrow's very survivable. He's not like the highest DPS thing to ever exist, but very survivable, has enough damage, decent buffs to go around, and he's kind of a support, although he's only supporting while he's probably doing the lion's share of the work in a mission. But yeah, that's Harrow. Enjoy the Steel Path run, and I will see you guys tomorrow.
Scans show Grenier harvesting Kuva nearby. Set off the alarms to draw them out, then steal their Kuva catalysts. Predictable. As expected, Grenier have shut down the environmental systems, sending modified life support capsules. Use these to sustain your environment or attach Kuva catalysts to begin harvesting. Life support incoming. I delivered a life support capsule to the area. Activating it will buy you more time. Tenno, prepare for life support. Additional life support has arrived. progress. This will help our cause. When you need it, extraction is ready. Life support activated.
will all share in this bounty. Hold out as long as you can.
You have found a Kuva catalyst. Attach it to a life support capsule to begin harvesting Kuva.
Tenno, extraction is ready.
They fought well. Good deaths all.